Hey y'all, this your girl Sonja, and welcome back to She Say Sports. Today I have with me co-host of Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club, Mr. Ken Clark. Hi Ken, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
All is well. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show today. And I just noticed when I was saying your name, you do know your name is Clark Kent without the T but backwards, right?
Yeah, I do. I actually use that on some of my social media. I think I've used that at one point. I put a plus sign and I just flip it
Really?
around. Yeah, no doubt.
Okay, I'm like a
so
Superman
so
mode.
you,
Okay.
you yeah, so my actual government, as they say, is actually not Ken. It's short. My first name is actually Okinzwa, but
Hence why. What does that mean?
it's it's Okinzwa. It means the
Okay, wow.
long-awaited child, Nigerian.
Say it
Yeah.
again. It means what? I'm sorry, I was talking.
No, no worries. It means the long-awaited child.
I love that. So were you alone?
Yes.
Were you a child? Were your parents?
Oh,
Um.
absolutely they were. I'm the baby of five. And, if my siblings if they hear this, they've been hearing it all their life, so it's all good. Or at least all my life, as long as I've been able to talk.
I
But
love it. That is
yeah, I'm the only
cool.
one with a I guess with a unique name like that. But I usually just use Ken for short to simplify
Hmm.
it, and then it also kind of streamlines everything coming back directly to me because there's only one me in the world, so it kind
Hey,
of slows
I feel
everything
you.
down.
I understand completely. So Kenzwa, Kenzwa. Oh, is that right? Did I say it
Ken,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
you can just say Ken. It's all
Okay, I know, but I just
right.
like you said, it's a nice name. Ken, just
Thank you.
tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, I'm again. You got my background on my name. Born and raised Jackson, Mississippi. Born and raised. Currently living out here in Los Angeles, California.
Okay.
Proud alum and supporter of Jackson State. I love and just anything Jackson State. I'm here for it.
Awesome. So, I did not know you were from Jackson. So, what high school
hmm
did you attend?
So actually, my ninth and tenth grade year, I attended Murrah High School. Um,
Okay.
played basketball, and I transferred. I moved with my father in my junior year. I moved with my father to Madison, Mississippi, and I finished my high school in Madison Central.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah. So I actually went to got a basketball scholarship out of Madison Central to play JUCO ball. Went
Hmm.
to Holmes Community College for two seasons, and then I walked away from basketball my junior year.
Why?
Um, so just a quick little reason. I actually had got married my sophomore year in college, and I'm a strong advocate for college athletes getting paid, and I say that because the amount of time that you dedicate to, athletics while you're in college and trying to get your work done, it's not much time to make money and work. So
Right.
because I had chose to get married at such a young age, not gonna go into that, but
No, you don't have to.
it
No,
was,
I understand.
I was ready to make money, and I knew that after my 2 years in at Holmes Community College, I got
Hmm.
a couple of offers. One in particular to play at Mississippi College, and um, I actually was supposed to finish my basketball career at Mississippi College, but 2 weeks before the semester started, I went and met with Coach Lofton at the time. Told me that I'd have love of the game to play in college, and I walked away from it and sat out for a year before I eventually became back. I enrolled in Jackson State in 2003. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And that's understandable. What's so funny? We're going to talk about athletes and them receiving money later on in the show. So
Okay.
that's very interesting that you brought that up. So
Mm-hmm.
we're going to move on. So, Ken, as you know, this has been a terribly busy couple of months with SWAC football.
Right.
Saturday will be the SWAC Championship at the Veterans Memorial Stadium in Jackson, Mississippi, which is home to the JSU Tigers. The SWAC Championship matchup will be between Alabama A&M and University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. However, that's not the big news going on in the SWAC. It's what's been happening within the SWAC in the last week. So when I reached out to you last week about coming on the show, I mentioned that we were in the midst of a SWAC shakeup. Last week, Coach Odoms resigned as head coach at Southern University and took a head coach position at Norfolk State University, moving from the SWAC to the MEAC conference. Coach Odoms, I believe, left Southern better than when he came there. He spent 9 seasons with the Jaguars, going 63-35 overall, 53-17 in conference play. Southern won the SWAC West Division titles 4 times and the conference championship in 2013. And, you know, it's been reported that Coach Maynor, head coach of Alabama A&M, has put his hat in the ring for the position at Southern University. However, earlier this week, he put a stop to those rumors, saying in so many words it's not true. But he didn't say that. All he said was he was focusing on the game and his team this week, is what he said. Well, one of the interviews that I heard. So then it's also been rumors, or it's been reported, I won't say rumors, that NFL Hall of Famer Ray Lewis' name is also in the bidding for the head coaching position as well. So what are your thoughts on all of this? It's a lot that I've talked about.
First thing first, it's okay. You know, first thing I'll say is let's give greetings to Coach Dawson Odoms for the the stellar job that he's done, that he did at Southern University, the 9 years that he was at the helm. I know that when he took over, I think they were on probation. They were dealing with some academic issues, and he was able to come in, stabilize the program. I think he started as a defensive coordinator and was elevated after Coach Mitchell, Stump Mitchell, departed, if I'm not mistaken. But what I would say from a Dawson Odom standpoint, I mean, being a loyal JSU alum, I mean, we lost to him in 2013 in double overtime in Houston in the SWAC championship game, and our program went south after that year because we terminated our head coach Rick Comegy, and things just kind of took a turn into the direction that they went for our program. But as far as Dawson Odom, one of the things I will make note of is I remember being at a Southern Jackson State game. We call it the Boombox Classic, right? I was down in Baton Rouge, and I pay attention to the little things because I'm big on discipline. I'm big on good coaching because I feel like even though I played the sport of basketball, I didn't learn the game of basketball until I actually went to college, and I had a coach that taught me the game. You know, before then, we just knew how to hoop. You know, we know how to get buckets, right? But I've had these same conversations with other student athletes that play football and say, man, until I went to college, I didn't really know the game. One of the things I pay attention to is discipline, and I'll say that Dawson Odom has put he's a disciplinaire. He's really his program was centered around discipline and hard work and blue collar approach, right? I remember, I think one of our players had an injury. We were in Baton Rouge, and everybody on the Southern team immediately took a knee. And that stood out to me because I think there was a couple of players that didn't immediately, that wasn't paying attention, and he kind of let them have it. And if you fast forward to this spring when we played him, we go look at his interview. He talked about he had an opportunity to run the scoreboard up. And now, hey, I'm not going to sugarcoat. There's vitriol between Jackson State and Southern. Fan base, we talk, that's a heated rival. Some will say even our most hated rival.
It is.
We probably would have ran the score up. You know what I mean? But
probably,
just the fact that he didn't, I think it speaks to I think it speaks to the character that he has. Like Coach Prime said just the other day, that huge loss to the conference from a coaching standpoint. We're not going to sugarcoat it, but I do know that his job security was kind of dangling in the balance every year, right? You have these conversations. There's talks of possibly moving on from him, and I know he wanted an extension, and I think I only got a 1-year extension. So I can't fault a man that chose to go back to his home area. I know he's from the East Coast, state of North Carolina. He's close to it, one state over now. Right. And he was able to increase his salary for his family. He was also able to inherit a program in Norfolk State that I think is primed to take over the MEAC with the exit of North Carolina A&T, the exit of Bethune-Cookman, and the exit of FAMU, who A&T went to the Big South, and of course Bethune and FAM is coming to the SWAC. So I think the MEAC is left with 6 teams right now, which allows them to still be able to compete from a conference standpoint. Right. So if you look at the move, it was an amazing move for him. Great move. Because if you think about it, I mean, he's going to have a 5-game conference schedule where if he wins out, let's say he wins 5 games in the conference, guess what? Coach Dawson Odom gets a chance to go to the Celebration Bowl in Atlanta and play against the champion of the SWAC. It's a little easier road. You get a 6-year salary. You got job security. You got familiarity. You also have a program that he's going to that is, I would say, not like a Jackson State that's ready to win right now. We ready. We tired of losing, right? You're looking at a fan base that is going to allow Coach Dawson Odom to come in, build that program up the way that he did at Southern. So not to be too long-winded about that, I just want to say, kudos to Coach Dawson Odom for his opportunity. I enjoyed his statement, his opening statement to the Norfolk State faithful. I feel like he did take a couple shots at our coach, but, you know what I'm saying?
One thing I can say about Coach Odom, it's always an indirect pettiness in his, in his statement.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. But I'm gonna say this though, it's all for. Hey, listen, in competition, I actually I don't have a problem with the smack talk. I just try to make sure that people understand that Coach Prime has never really come into the conference and really talk smack directly to anyone. He mostly talks about what he's doing and what he's gonna do. Right. And some people take his confidence, his arrogance, and he's just always been that way. So. But I will say this though, if you look at the videos, nobody was, I don't remember the last time I seen Dawson Odom going on the field, making a video in the center of the stadium, looking around and talking to. Exactly. I saw Coach Prime do that. You know what I mean? So you can say what you want to say.
That he's not making. Technology, internet. Social media is what's up now, so you better get on the bandwagon.
So to move on from that, so like I said, best of luck to him. I'm definitely going to be paying attention to what they're doing. I'm a fan of the man Dawson Odom. Even though I never met him, I just like from a distance what he's done. Right. I started following Norfolk State athletics.
I did too.
Yeah. So you know what I mean? So him going, I want to keep over what he's doing and kind of see the progress that he's made. And as far as the rumored, I'll say this is what I'll say about Coach Connell Mann and his name circulating with the Southern job, right? Coach Prime, before he was announced that he was the head coach at Jackson State, interviewed and said that he wasn't interviewing.
Right.
And then he came back later on and said, the reason why I'm saying I'm not a candidate because I'm the coach. Connell Mann said everything that he said everything except I didn't actually interview. I didn't put any interest in that, and I don't blame him. The reason why I publicly haven't gone out and said anything because me as a man, I never try to get in front of a man or woman's money. You know, that's
Right.
that's
Exactly.
livelihood, that's career, that's opportunity. And we beef, we talk smack, but there's just some things I draw the line with. And hey, you know, we'll see how it plays out. They got a game to go play. They beat us fair and square, you know, at the vet. The commissioner came out and said why the game's being played in Jackson. So they're going to be coming to Jackson this week with a chance to play against Arkansas Pine Bluff, which I think has a really good chance to win, just like Alabama A&M does. So I just felt like it was more damage control, but we'll see. I think if he, with the statement that he made, if he comes out after the SWAC championship game and they announce him as the head coach, it's gonna look kind of funny, don't you think? You know, so
Yeah. Yeah.
so if it is true, and if he's gonna be the next head coach, then the statement publicly probably wouldn't have. It's probably not gonna look the best. He could have just addressed his team, but I never try to tell a man how he should address the situation.
Absolutely.
Last piece. Last piece I'll say is, as far as the rumors to the possible NFL Hall of Famers, we just got an alert from Ian Rappaport from NFL Network saying that Marshall Faulk is being rumored to be the head coach at Southern. He said
Really?
there's a mutual interest. Yes, it just came out no less than just came out today, recently before we got started with this interview, and
Wow.
I said the same thing. I said, wow. You do know North Marshall Faulk is a New Orleans native, or
Mhm.
he is from that area. So if someone that's hearing this and he's from one of those small towns outside of New Orleans, and I get it wrong, don't quote me on it. I do know he's from the area. Um, I was talking to one of the alums just a second ago, and when he first broke, he brought up a point. Guess who he used to sit next to at the NFL Network? Our very own Coach Prime. so hey, I'm here for it, man. We got Eddie George at Tennessee State. We got our very own Coach Prime here in Jackson State, and then we, you know, if Southern decides to go with the NFL Hall of Famer as their head coach, oh my goodness, man, the Jackson State
So Ken, that's what
rivalry
I'm
just got
right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what that was my next question to you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we know that Dion and Eddie George are not the first NFL players to become coaches at HBCUs. However, they're the first Hall of Famers. And
Correct.
you know, then when Ray Lewis' name came up last week, there was a lot of ruckus amongst the fans because they were like, why are all of these NFL players coming to HBCUs to get their experience? They don't have experience. I mean, one minute we're wanting HBCUs to be noticed and uplifted, and then when it happens, there's complaining. Why is
Mm-hmm.
this such an issue with some of the fans? And I get it and you know what? And I understand this argument totally. One of the arguments is, you went to these PWIs. Why won't you go try to coach one of them? Why won't they let you come and be a head coach there? We know the reason why, but
Mm-hmm.
they feel like they are, like coming and using HBCUs, but I understand it,
I know what
but
you mean. Mm-hmm.
I don't, what are your thoughts on that?
Here's my thoughts on it, and it's I'll try to simplify it as much as I can, right?
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, I think as a fan base, as fan bases, we have to understand that when you're talking about a lower FCS program, more specifically SWAC, let's just say SWAC and MEAC head coaching jobs, talking about being at the lowest tier from a money standpoint, from a Division I standpoint, right? So when we're talking about a head coach, the average salary anywhere from let's just say 150 to 300,000. We know Eddie George is it was reported that his salary is 400 grand. All right, whatever. That's
Right.
extremely high for a HBCU head coach football salary. So we saw recently Jerry Mack, who was the head coach in North Carolina Central, won a couple of MEAC championships, left as a head coach to go be an offensive coordinator at Rice University, where his salary doubled to be just a coordinator. So when we're talking about a head coach that has a lot of experience, that has a resume from the level that we are at, you're going to either have to reach to the Division II level, you're going to have to reach to a position or coordinator position from interconference. You're going to either have to go to the high school level. So I think most of us don't really consider that because we don't even do that professionally. We don't ask. So if from a professional standpoint, I'm not going to go down lower than where I'm currently at. You see what I'm saying? Because my money's going to go down. As I take a step back, my money's going to go down. And we know it's all, at the end of the day, you have to make a salary in order to survive in this world, right?
Right.
So with that being said, I think many of us want proven winners. I hear that all the time. Man, we want a proven winner, proven winner, proven winner. Where are you going to find that and pay that person in the salary range that you have that? So what I'm saying is this. Most of these opportunities will come from you really taking a risk. You're either going to go get an unproven commodity, and I say commodity because, let's be honest, a Hall of Fame head coach, even though he don't have the head coaching experience, he could be a CEO head coach that could put together a great staff that actually can be, great coaches. Because at the end of the day, it really comes down to your position coaches, your coordinators, and the program you're able to build.
Right.
And let's also talk about this. They can bring resources.
Exactly.
Because let's just be real about something. We love our institutions. We're prideful, but we're not stupid. The money gap is extremely wide between a mid-tier Power 5 PWI and your best HBCU. Just from a monetary budget standpoint, we're not seeing that kind of revenue. So when you get an opportunity to bring in someone that can generate the kind of fundraising and revenue, you actually got to go for it because you're getting something out of that. I get that we want to win games, but you got to trust that this NFL Hall of Famer didn't get to where he's at if he didn't have football acumen, right? So most coaches that are that are out anyway, they've been a part of the game all their life. Now the other piece is what happens to that coach that did not go to the NFL, that didn't play in the NFL, but he has worked his way onto a staff and has done a great job and is the next man up. You get this NFL Hall of Famer that just comes in and kind of jumps in front of this guy and say, well, man, we got to figure out what we want. Do we want to, like Coach Prime say, level the playing field and actually get some of our better talented kids that are going to patronize these PWIs and put millions and millions of dollars into the pockets of these institutions? Or would we rather see that talent come back to where we are and patronize our own product and put that revenue into our pocket? Can't have it both. We can't. You get what I'm saying? So
I'm glad you said that because how about last year, May 31st of 2020, I put a post up on Facebook and I said, here's a silent protest. Pull your black sons out of D1 sports, send them HBCUs. Okay, so when I put that up, most people was like, that's right, amen, just supporting the post. Some were like, that's crazy, it's not going to happen. HBCUs, especially SWAC, don't have the resources to do this. So now we have these Hall of Famers coming to HBCUs. You just said, and we all know because they're coming, resources are coming. All of these, and somebody said it's going to be a circus, but you need the resources to build the program, to build the weight rooms, to be, to get some equipment that you need for these Power 5 kids coming to these schools.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have.
I don't like the term circus because that's a terrible undertone when we're talking about a circus, because I think
I hate that.
we have to support our own, love our own. So here's what I'm saying: we always complaining about us as Black Americans and African Americans not getting the opportunities that some white Americans are getting. Yet at the same time, when we have an opportunity to empower our own, we're doing the same thing, or we're complaining about it because not saying that they want a white coach to take over instead of the NFL Hall of Famer. I understand the argument on both sides. I'm not making light of the fact that you do want a proven winner. They got some really good Division II coaches that I can name a few. And I understand it, but at the same time, I think we're prideful, and we are more so skeptical of feeling like you're just going to be here to use us, and the first time that one of these PWIs gets to calling you, you're going to burn out and leave us high and dry.
Right.
So I think Coach Prime being the litmus test of this whole situation, because let's be honest, we're the groundbreakers of this. We're the trailblazers of this. Right. We started this whole wave, right? And it's not really a wave in my sense. I think this is really a divine calling, like Coach Prime stated. And the article comes out yesterday saying, PWIs that could reach out to Power 5 schools that'll come get these coaches, and Coach Prime's name is on there. But I don't see Coach Prime leaving us high and dry like that, because if you go back and look at his track record, he's a man of character. Would it be shocking? Yeah, it would be. But when we're talking about, I feel like he has a mission and he has a job to do here at Jackson State, in Jackson, Mississippi, and I think he's going to stay and see it through. I really believe that. So when you get down to it, if they've already reached the pinnacle, I don't really see what's the hurry to run to a PWI, in my opinion. If they wouldn't give you the opportunity the first time, I hope that these coaches stay. I hope they stay as long as they could, and let's build our own institutions up. Because let's be honest, if we get some more Hall of Fame coaches in this SWAC, man, you're talking about a recruiting battle. That's what it comes down to. I know the Alabamas and the Georgias and the Clemsons of the world get to battling amongst recruits, but man, imagine a Deion Sanders, a Eddie George, a Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, a Marshall Faulk coming into your living room, sitting down, and I think it starts at home. I'll say this too. You can't be complaining about what we need as HBCUs, and you got a 5-star, 4-star kid, yet you don't even want to talk to a HBCU because you think your son is better than that, right? Because it starts at home. A lot of parents, and we see it all the time. I'm not going to get into that, but, we can't have it both ways.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's why I put the post up last year.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the main, because it starts at home. I have a few friends that their sons, amazing athletes, but they were only taking them to PWIs. They were never, one was like, I'm not letting him tour Jackson State, but you went to Jackson State. I don't understand.
Well, I get it, and you know why? It goes back to what you just said. We talked about resources. We talked about let's talk about most HBCUs are in rural areas and not in the best part of town. Most of them are. Jackson State, is not immune to that. And but if you look at the plans to upgrade the facilities, and if you look at the plans you're talking about new weight room, nutrition center, you're talking about new practice facility, covered practice facility, turf. Once you start getting some of those things that you're proud of and you don't mind bringing them to the house to show them around, to show them what you have, because if you compare what we have to UT, it's not even going. It's night and day. But if you go and look at the makeup of the roster of the UT, you're going to see 70% African American. So it's just simple. It's simple economics. If you take the product and move that product to the revenue is going to go where the product is, which is why, this bill that's being passed, this name and likeness, and this name, image, and likeness, where it allows players to, to patronize their own likenesses and make revenue for their own name.
Don't get into that yet.
No, I wasn't. I'm saying, like, the point I'm making is that right there is also another equalizer. So,
Right.
I won't get into that just yet. I just, but no, you made a valuable point. I hate to keep, be long-winded, but you made a valuable point. You got let's say an HBCU graduate who has a son that's a 5-star. That's the conundrum that most of those families have found themselves in, because they want what's best for them. You're in a situation where you want absolutely what's best for your child, because you want to give your child the best track to get to that next level, because you feel like they are capable of reaching it. So when you bring the guys who have done it at the highest level and excelled at it, and you put them in our arena, hey, you got to consider an HBCU now, because, you got Alabama, you got Nick Saban, who's putting a lot of NFL, prospects in the league every year, but you also got Coach Prime, who's actually an NFL Hall of Famer. You got Eddie George, that's an NFL Hall of Famer, that can actually talk to you about the nuances and actually speak the language that you are looking to partake in. So it's an interesting thing. I mean, it's an ever moving situation. It's evolving right before our very eyes, and I think we all got to revisit this with clean eyes, a clean heart, and go back into this and start loving our own. And I mean, if you say you love, I love, you really love, because I know Coach Prime, he brought his own kids into the program.
That's right.
And his son is 4-star and 3-star. He brought his son. Now, it would have been something if Shador would have continued and went on to Florida Atlantic, and Shiloh would have stayed at South Carolina. When a parent,
that would have said a lot about him as a parent and as
absolutely
a coach.
So if that coach comes and sits in your living room, he can tell you, because I guess what? He brought his kids to an HBCU. If that man's kids is good enough for an HBCU, then who can say that they're not? So it just comes down to choice. But we want to be in the ballpark when it comes to institution and program selection. You don't have to. Everybody's not going to choose Jackson State or HBCU. Not for everyone. But for it to be a real viable option is that's really all you can ask for.
Right. And that's all I was saying. I'm not necessarily saying you have, because they went to Jackson State, their child had to go, but at least let them visit. That's a visit is nothing. Just let them have the opportunity to see both sides is what I was saying. So we'll be all day on this subject because it's a lot.
I know, right? It is.
But I'm going to move on, and Ken, I mentioned earlier the SWAC championship game this weekend between Alabama A&M and UAPB. So from what you've seen from both teams this spring season, who comes on top for you?
Man, it's going to be hard. So I'll look at it this way. Akil Glass is playing lights out right now.
I love him.
Oh my goodness, he is definitely an NFL prospect. He lit us up. He had a career year. he had a Madden type game versus us, and no turnovers. It felt like he had 17 touchdowns. I know he only had 7, 6 passing, 1 rushing, and but their defense is very shaky. I think Arkansas Pine Bluff is more blue collar to me. Skylar Perry, great quarterback. Mm-hmm. They got some young freshmen. They got some good skill position, a pretty solid defense. They do enough on defense to stop their opponent. They stop Prairie View. They stop Southern, which I think is going to come down to who gets the stops on defense. if Skylar Perry and Arkansas Pine Bluff can come out firing, because he's kind of a middle of the pack from an accuracy standpoint. Quarterback, he can run. I would say he's probably a middle to mid 50s to percent passer. If you go back to the Alabama State game, which they did not get a chance to complete due to the weather, he was off that game. But when he's on, he's on.
Mm-hmm.
Akil Glass is on when he steps on the field. You know what I mean? So that's the thing.
He's smooth with it too.
He's smooth now. He is.
Oh my gosh.
So for me, honestly, I think it's going to come down to. I think the Arkansas Pine Bluff has pretty good defensive DBs, and I can they stop their wide receiver core and Akil Glass? I don't think they stop them. I think they do enough to contain them. And I'm looking for Arkansas Pine Bluff to win in an upset. I know Alabama A&M is the sexy pick, the easy pick to go with, because you got the SWAC Offensive Player of the Year, probably National HBCU Player of the Year at quarterback. But I think Arkansas Pine Bluff is playing with house money, and I think that team goes in there with a chip on their shoulder, and I think they upset Alabama A&M in a close game.
Well, I mean, they've already shocked the SWAC this season, so
they did.
You have a very valid point. I did not see them play this season. I did see
Alabama.
You didn't see them?
No, I saw all of them play. I saw Arkansas Pine Bluff play. I saw them when they played against Southern as well as Alabama State. Yeah, they got some. And the funny thing about Arkansas Pine Bluff, this team is young. It's a young team. You know what I mean? So they're going to be pretty good for a good little while. So I like what I saw. I think Alabama A&M is the pick. Probably they're the favorite to win. If you look at the point spread, I'm not sure exactly where that's at right now, but I think Arkansas Pine Bluff comes in and wins a close game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think Arkansas Pine Bluff edges them towards the end.
I believe I agree with you. After hearing what you said, about what you just said, I was going with Alabama because of Glass. But
let me say this one more thing. Here's the elephant in the room. How much is that Connell Maynard rumor talk is going to affect these players?
Because it's getting in their head.
Like, think about that. Like think about it. It's a thing. It's not like Coach Prime always says. It's not the main thing. It's a thing, but it's not the main thing.
Right.
But I've been in locker rooms where when there's some uncertainty up top, you feel you don't want to have to think about that. So I understand why he came out and said what he said, because you want your guys to be focused. But everybody talks in the SWAC, man. I don't know if I just know that Arkansas Pine Bluff don't have to go to Jackson to think about that. The coaches was out talking about, because they had a position coach. I think the running backs coach out complaining about having to come to Jackson to play the game. So all that little extra noise is something that has to be accounted for. Maybe they don't worry about it and they go out and they execute. They do what they got to do. But if they wind up losing this game, I think it's going to circulate back to Connell Maynard noise.
Probably. You're absolutely right. And they're kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
correct.
That's a lot to put in their heads, and they're trying to focus on this game. So we shall see. It'll be interesting on Saturday to see how it goes. So does this spring championship mean anything, and does it knock Alcorn down as being the champs in the SWAC?
The spring championship means everything. I'm not one that says, it's just a spring, it don't mean nothing. Because listen, every time we suited up, I wanted to see Jack State win. Anybody that's saying it didn't mean nothing, try telling that to the kids that had to go out there and practice and play in the middle of a spring season with less than 6 weeks to get prepared. It means everything. It's not an asterisk by this. They didn't play football in the fall due to COVID. When you factor in COVID-19, it ups the ante on just how important it was to go out and compete. Now, granted, Alabama A&M only played 3 games. So did Arkansas Pine Bluff. Due to no fault of their own, due to some cancellations and some COVID issues with some of the other teams. hey, it means everything. It was the season because I'm not going to sit back and say just because Jack State's not playing and that it didn't mean anything. And sometimes that's what we tend to do. You
Right.
know, when it's our team, it means everything. But when it's another team, oh, it don't mean nothing. No, it means everything.
It
They're gonna
means
get
everything.
it means everything. They're gonna get a ring. Whoever wins, gonna get a ring. They get to play on TV. They get TV exposure. They're gonna get the revenue split from the game. As far as Alcorn, I personally believe that Alcorn was playing this spring, and until I see it happen, I mean, Alcorn's still Alcorn. They still got a good team down there on the reservation. And then they're going to the West in the fall. They're going to be going to the West with the addition of Bethune-Cookman and FAMU coming to the East.
Right.
But I got a chance to look at some of the clips from their spring game, and they look like they're well rested. They didn't have to play any games.
I guess they are.
Yeah, they are. They are. Opt out you. I know. But, whatever. Hey, man, ain't no love up here. But then again, it's all love. Off the field, it's all love to all institutions. But on the field,
Yes.
I don't care nothing about it. I don't care nothing about it. Elkhorn, I call them every, Tissel, that school over in Lorman, whatever you want to say. But from a football standpoint, though, and they still got Felix Harper at quarterback. He was the best quarterback in the conference when he was last on the field. So although they lost a good running back, they added a good running back from the recruiting standpoint. Got some good DBs, good size on them. Good, and they dominated the East the past 6 years. So can they go over to the West and do the same thing? Yeah, it's to be seen. Right? We shall see. So. It means, the spring means everything. Alcorn is still a really good team that's got to be beat once they hit the field. So let Felix tell it. Let Felix tell it. He said they're going to start in Atlanta and end in Atlanta. I'm glad he said it. I'm glad he said it. That's bulletin board material.
I love it.
Yeah, no doubt.
I like that. So,
absolutely.
Okay. Well, let's move on to basketball.
Okay.
JSU Tiger Tristan Jarrett has officially declared for the 2021 NBA Draft. 6'4" senior guard led the Tigers 20.3 points per game this past season, ranked 10th in the league in rebounds per game, 3rd in free throw percentage, 5th in field goal percentage, 1st in three-point field goals made per game, and earned first-team All-SWAC and was named SWAC Player of the Year. What are your thoughts on this move for Tristan, and do you think he'll be picked in a top? I mean, like first or second round?
I think it's a great move for Tristan. Tristan's a great player. We had the incident that took place, and I say that because when you're dealing with kids and things that they go through is publicized, we don't run from it. We use those moments to, make those moments teachable, and we uplift them. We don't throw kids away. I don't care what it is. Nobody, the village didn't give up on me, and I don't like to give up on kids. So I was excited to see that. He was very matter of fact about it. Said that he's signing with an agent. Tristan's been the best player in the SWAC the past few seasons, and now is a good time. I sincerely hope that. When you get into basketball, I mean, it's a little different than football. Football has got a lot more positions. It's a lot more 7 rounds from a draft standpoint, over 200 picks. The NFL draft's coming up this weekend, starting Thursday actually. And when it comes to Tristan, I think his game translates. He shoots the ball very well. At the next level, you got to, you got to be able to play defense. You got to be able to compete. You got to be able to maintain yourself and compose yourself. So, if I was looking at the draft, this is a very, very deep draft. A lot of talent. One of the things that's changed for the NBA draft is you're getting a lot of players that opted to not go to college and they went to the G League. So you're going to see a lot of those G League players that are going to enter the draft and they're going to get drafted as well. So. Not all the college players. It's not just like in the past where it was just all college